Hello, welcome to the Basketball Soapbox here on Spotify and YouTube. Don't to forget to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, it helps the channel out. But this will be episode 6 here, as we'll be talking about the in-season tournament so far in the NBA. A lot of skepticism going into it at the start of it, but as we reach the knockout stages and people kind of get to the simple format, we've been getting some entertaining games. We're going to have the finals on Saturday, which is today. I'm filming really early in the morning. But we have the Pacers versus the Lakers in the first ever finals of the NBA Cup in-season tournament happening here. Two entertaining teams that have been throughout undefeated, have been playing really, really well. We got the Lakers overcoming the Suns in a highly entertaining game. Kevin Durant, LeBron James going at it 31 apiece, defeating the Pelicans by 44 in the semifinals matchup, which was a letdown. But on the flip side here, we have the Pacers who defeated the Boston Celtics and defeated the Milwaukee Bucks, who I'll talk about the Indiana Pacers right now, especially the Tyrese Haliburton show. This kid has come out and has had doubters pretty much throughout his whole NBA career, coming out of Iowa State, getting drafted by the Kings. I actually wanted the Celtics to draft him in that 2020 draft there. I believe the Kings and the Pelicans were in front of us. The Kings, for what seems like for the first time in a while, make a great draft pick, drafting Tyrese Haliburton. Don't know how to use him. The Pelicans drafted Kira Lewis, I believe, and we drafted Aaron Naismith, who ironically plays with Tyrese Haliburton in Indiana, helping eliminate my Boston Celtics there in the first round matchup there at the knockout stages a couple days ago, 122 to 112. But Tyrese Haliburton was out there in Sacramento, and people were trying to debate, hey, which direction is this team going, with De'Aaron Fox or Tyrese Haliburton? They ended up picking De'Aaron Fox, trading Tyrese Haliburton to Indiana for Domantas Sabonis. And it was a trade that worked out for both teams because we saw growth with those teams. The Sacramento Kings, of course, being Cinderella last year, making the playoffs, having a highly entertaining series against the Golden State Warriors there in the first round. On the flip side, we had the Indiana Pacers, who looked like they were struggling at first. And I think a lot of people forget the Indiana Pacers were the 4th seed in the NBA last season before Tyrese Haliburton went down. And then when he went down, they got all the way out of the playoff race, wasn't really in it. And we're kind of seeing the effects of that this season, right, where they're trying to play at a faster pace. We're seeing the elevated play of a lot of people, and a lot of stuff happening with Buddy Hield to start the season where he wanted to be traded. He's still on the team. He's playing well for them. This team overall is playing well, having 8 guys in double figures, and I think that has to do a lot of it with the pace what Rick Carlisle is implementing on this team, and especially the guy who we're about to talk about right now, Tyrese Haliburton, who has been putting on a show in this in-season tournament there, has just been killing. 27.8 points per game, 13.7 assists per game, 5.5 rebounds, 1.8 turnovers per game, which is keeping the turnovers low, and he has had 0 in his last 2 games. Just looking at this kid, of course, his trajectory, leaving Sacramento, that whole thing, and people were making fun of him, saying that he was emotional leaving Sacramento because he felt like there was something there, and he felt like he could have built his career there a little bit, and especially being on the West Coast, I'm pretty sure that had a lot to do with it. But people were making fun of him about that, laughing at him, saying it's a business, get over it. But people are allowed to be attached to things. Let's just start there. But he was able to come into an Indian, and he's been able to find his own steps, his own path here to superstardom, it looks like. In this in-season tournament, when it started, I thought, hey, this is going to be good for the small market teams, the teams that are trying to make a playoff push and stuff like that. And we had the Pelicans, we had the Kings, we had the Knicks, we had the Pacers on the outside, and of course, out of the favorites there, the Suns, the Lakers, the Bucks, and the Celtics. But looking at these smaller market teams, I felt like this was an opportunity for them to get some buzz around them, get some good pressure in early playoff games and stuff like that, even though it's not the playoffs, it's kind of like it, but it's a tournament. But getting some early pressure games to kind of cement themselves. And I think that would have helped the Kings last year if they had something similar to like that. The Indiana Pacers, especially, who fell out of the playoff race last year, proving themselves so far in this tournament, being undefeated. Tyrese Haliburton has just been killing. He's been the main part of that. In the last 2 games, 26.5 points per game, 14 assists per game, and 8.5 rebounds. on 50, 40, I believe 100% splits from the free throw line. He has not missed from the free throw line. He's been leading this offensive onslaught all season for the Indiana Pacers. They're not going to play an ounce of defense, but the ability to get timely stops, especially during this in-season tournament, has benefited them. And they did that against the Celtics, where it looked like they were losing control of the game, and then Tyrese Haliburton was able to get loose. Buddy Hield was able to get loose. Aaron Naismith was able to get loose and just knock down some shots down the stretch there that just gave them the separation against the Celtics. And they turn around, go up against the Milwaukee Bucks, and do the same thing, led by Tyrese Haliburton. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well from three-point range, but just getting in there and attacking the paint, which I'll talk about with the Milwaukee Bucks later on, and just getting in the paint and continuing to get shots, continuing to knock down paint touches, beating them in transition. And this pace, I said, I was talking to people and they were laughing when I said they beat the Celtics and they thought I was just making excuses. But that style of play for the Indiana Pacers, playing at that high pace, kind of reminds me of the Phoenix Suns and Steve Nash. And there's a lot of similarities between Steve Nash and Tyrese Haliburton, how they just continuously move the ball, play at this fast pace, beat the defense before it's even able to set up, especially in transition and off makes and misses and stuff like that. Very similar. And I said, do I think the Indiana Pacers are going to win a 7-game series against the Celtics or the Bucks? No, I don't think so. But on any given night where they're not at their A game or anything like that, or they can get you in those type of games because of just the pace and the possessions that they're going to get. And the efficiency of their offense is the thing that's going to make the difference, because they're always going to get, most likely, especially with Tyrese Haliburton leading the charge, are going to get a good shot. And that's been evidenced the past 2 games, even in late in games where he's beating guys off the dribble and he's able to implement that style. And credit to Rick Carlisle for entrusting Tyrese Haliburton, giving him the keys to the car and really leading this team. And I think it's different where we saw in Dallas with Rick Carlisle, where it was a lot slower pace, a little bit there. And playing with a Luka Doncic who has the ball in his hands a lot, really facilitating throughout his own dribble and really not initiating the offense early, just the different pace. And I think that's the difference with Rick Carlisle right now versus what he has in Dallas, what we see with Luka Doncic and what we saw with Harden in certain situations where he's just dribbling the air out the ball. Tyrese Haliburton gets the ball out of his hands early. He's making the reads early. He understands the game. He's playing really well. And you just have to give kudos to this kid who has developed his game over the course of his short career. He's earned himself a max contract. Looks like he's getting his feet settled in Indiana. And this guy has just been killing. And you can watch a bunch of interviews with him and just see his IQ jump off the page. He talks to J.J. Redick. He talks to a bunch of guys. And he understands the game as a pure point guard. Like, whereas in what I said, people were looking at me and when I was comparing him to Steve Nash, and people were like, I don't think he's that level yet. And I'm like, this guy is taller. He plays faster. He has a little bit more athleticism, and he's shooting the ball efficiently. And I think that's something that people are a little taken aback by, about how good this guy is this early. And it's like, no, we see this. This is the right way to play basketball. This is the right way you want a point guard to lead a team in this way. To have 8 guys in double figures, and mainly coming from him and his creation on the offensive end, you have to give respect to that. You have to give respect to Tyrese Haliburton. He's killing it right now. And I can't wait to see what he does against the Lakers. And if Tyrese Haliburton can continue this to knock off Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who have been to the finals, to knock off Damian Lillard, who has been a leader of a franchise, playoff team, got into a Western Conference Finals, to beat Giannis, who was NBA champion, this Bucks team that was recently NBA champion a couple of years ago, and then turn around and then try to beat Anthony Davis and LeBron James. That's a hell of a run, even if it's a in-season tournament. If you did that in a week in the NBA, I think that's pretty good, even if it was a regular season game. But let's get on to the other side of things in the Western Conference there, where